Hello, I'm Dee Brown, CEO, and welcome to this episode of Self-Made. My next guest is an actor who went from the projects to creating projects. Please help me welcome Otis Winston. Otis, welcome to the show, man. I'm glad to have you.
Thank you for having me. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, look, I know you have an interesting story, interesting journey, so I want to just jump right into it. So take me back to your childhood. I know you grew up in the projects. Just give my viewers and myself a glimpse of what it was like for you as a kid.
Well, it was rough. You know, I couldn't talk until I was 11. Yeah, I stuttered really bad. They told me I would never be able to properly talk. So I spent a lot of time in my closet watching TV and escaping and fantasizing and imagining. And, you know, but it was fun, but it was also rough. You know,
Yeah.
I was born and raised in Youngstown, Ohio, grew up in Westlake Projects. And, you know, it was the time where wherever you showed out at is where you got beat at. You know,
Yeah.
Everybody's mama can beat you.
Right, on the spot.
You know, so absolutely. So it was a different time for me. You know, it was a time where I was doing a lot of self evaluating. You know, I didn't know who I was. I was doing a lot of self discovery. I was told I couldn't do this, told I couldn't do that. So it took a lot of self-love, and my mom taught me that at a young age. I had to learn how to love me, even with the stutter.
Yeah.
And when I learned how to love me with the stutter, that's when the stutter at the age of 11 went away.
So for my viewers who may not understand where or what Westlake Project is, can you kind of give us some history on that?
Westlake Projects is in the middle, the heart of Youngstown, Ohio. You know, it was basically, to me, the heart of Youngstown. That's where the toughest of the toughest people came from. You know, it was a big community. We would all go to Chase Pool or Evans Field. Everybody was being raised by everybody. It was a bunch of single mothers at the time, and they band together to make sure that the kids would not get sucked up by the streets. And thank God that they did, because I'm here today to talk to you about it.
Right. So what was your biggest challenge growing up in that environment?
Making sure the streets didn't get me. You know, my dad got arrested when I was 11. My dad was in the streets. My cousins were in the streets. We had other adults that we knew was always in the streets. The way to get out of Westlake Projects was either through the streets or sports. I chose sports. You know, basketball and track was my saving grace. And it got me to a place where I realized there was a different lifestyle. So my mom really instilled in me to never be a product of my environment, but to make my environment a product of me. Yeah. And that's what I've learned how to do.
What was high school? What was that like? Obviously you were an athlete, but just talk to me about that experience.
See, high school was different for me. My mom moved us. My dad got arrested. My mom moved us from Youngstown to a small town called Toronto, Ohio. And I went from an all predominantly Black school to an all white school. So now I went from being like just one of the boys to standing out like a sore green thumb.
Yeah.
And that's where life got challenging for me, you know, because I was angry. One, I still stuttered when I moved to Toronto. Two, my dad got arrested. He was in jail. And three, I didn't fit in. I didn't think I fit in because no one looked like me. No one talked like me. No one had my struggles in my mind. So I got in a lot of fights, got in a lot of trouble. And one day, a principal by the name of Mr. Wilson, he called my mom in and sat her down, was like, look, Otis get in trouble one more time. It could be it for him. And my mom didn't know what to do. And he looked at my mom and said, I want Otis to come to my office after school every day. And he was probably one of the first men who saw me and said, I see you and I want to help you. And that really changed me. And I saw the hurt on my mom's face. And the last thing I wanted to do was be a burden to my mother. So being the youngest of four boys, I had to make a decision. Do I embarrass her or do I uplift her? And I chose to make sure my life always uplifted the woman who put so much in me.
So you studied until you were age 11. At what point did you decide that you were interested in acting or theater?
That didn't come until after college. Like, I had no idea. What's crazy is now I look back, it's almost like I've always been interested in it. Like I said, I was always like fantasizing. I would watch TV to daydream. I would watch TV to escape the projects. I would watch TV to escape where I was at. Had no idea that 20 plus years down the road, I would be the one that kids who look like me are probably watching TV saying, I want to be like that.
Right.
I had no idea that that was going to happen. You know, I was too busy focused on sports. I was told I wasn't good in sports, and so I had to prove everybody wrong. I had to prove to myself that I was. I didn't set out to prove people wrong. That's what I always tell kids when I go to speak. Stop trying to prove people wrong. Just prove to yourself that you are enough. That's it.
Yeah.
So me learning how to prove to myself that I was enough led to sports. Sports led to coaching. Coaching led to speaking. Then speaking led to this thing that I call acting, which is my life, which is my passion, which is, I believe, is my purpose.
So how did you get your start in acting? What was your first role?
What's funny is my very first taste of acting, I flew out to LA. I had just went through a divorce. I remember it like it was yesterday, March 2nd. I lost my job. I was a software engineer, computer consultant, software engineer. I got laid off, and 2 days later, my ex-wife filed for divorce. And a friend of mine, who's a mentor and a very good friend, like my big sister, her name is Robbie Reed. Robbie Reed is the head of BET Casting right now. Robbie invited me to LA. I flew out to LA. She said, come out, clear your head. You know, you got a lot going on. And I met Robbie through writing. I started by writing. Someone sent one of my scripts to her, and she's like, you're talented. So I was going to meet her at this event. And when I was walking through the door, the director of whatever they were doing was walking out, and she looked at me and she's like, are you the guest actor? I said, no, ma'am, I'm here to see a friend. She said, are you sure? I'm like, positive. Never acted before in my life. Unbeknownst to me, the guest actor never showed up. And Robbie comes up to me, and Tasha Smith was there, and they was like, I think they want you to stand in for the guest actor. It was this thing they were doing called Hip Hop to Hollywood that never made it to the air. And I ended up having to improv the scene from Jerry Maguire with like these hip hop artists who were trying to go into acting. And once I did that, you know, Robbie looked at me and was like, yo, you might want to be in front of the camera instead of behind the camera. I flew home. I went to court, signed my divorce papers. I was walking out the courtroom. I got a phone call, and I booked my very first TV show, speaking role in a TV show called The Game.
Wow.
And the rest is history. I had the bug, and I haven't stopped since. I've been pushing, and I've been working, and I've been trying to find my own path, if that makes sense.
Yeah. So you landed the role on The Game. Talk to me about that, you know, that experience and what that was like.
It was amazing. I had no idea. You know, God has a sense of humor. It's almost like he showed me the end at the beginning. Yeah. Because if I would have known I was going to go through everything I had to go through to get to this situation where I am now speaking to you, I would have stayed in that computer in that cubicle working on computers. I had no idea it was going to be this hard. Yeah. So it was amazing. You know, I had my own trailer. I was a guest star, a speaking role. I became SAG eligible I didn't even audition for the part. You know, Robbie put me up for the part. They gave me the part. And now I'm on set with Salim Akil and Mara Akil working on The Game. And I was like, this is what it's like. Right. That's in my head. I'm like, oh, this is about to be easy. This is cake. Had no idea that was be the last time that I would have my own trailer, because the next time I would be on a movie set, I would be an extra. but I did it because I've never been on a movie set.
Yeah.
And me being an extra changed the trajectory of my acting career.
Really? And how did that really impact your career?
Well, first, people thought I was weird because I just got done doing a speaking role. So they was like, why are you going back to being an extra? You're here. You're supposed to keep going. But like I said, I've never been on a set where I was never on a movie set. I was on a television set before.
Right.
I've never done a movie. And the movie was called Oz the Great and Powerful. And we worked on that movie. I worked on that movie as an extra for 3 months, making like $100. I spent more money to be in the film than I was making.
Right.
And it was rough. And I remember we had a big scene coming up, and I was one of the guys and don't laugh at the character's name because everyone laughed at the character's name. Remember on the Wizard of Oz, the OEO?
Right.
The Winkies. I was one of the Winkies. We all were 6'5" and taller. So I went from the back of the line as the Winky to becoming like the head Winky. And one day I told everyone who didn't know how to march, if you want to stay late, I'll stay late with you. I'll teach you how to march. Because I thought all tall people had rhythm. I'm tall, I can dance, I got rhythm. That's not the case. Some of these brothers couldn't walk and chew gum at the same time. So I stayed late, taught people how to march. Unbeknownst to me, a guy by the name of Casey Hoddenfield was watching me. Casey Hoddenfield was the first AD. And he walked up. He's like, what are you doing? I was like, we film tomorrow and some people still don't know how to march. He said, where's the choreographer? I was like, she left. I said, what do you mean she left? I was like, she left. And he was like, so you just decided to stay and help them? I said, yes, sir. He's like, Max, why? I said, because I look at it like it's my film. I don't care if I am an extra. Everything I do it like it's mine. That's the only way I know how to give you everything. I'm invested in it. I've been spending my money, more money to be in this movie than I was making. I was just invested in it because I don't know how not to give it 110%. I didn't know who Casey was. I go home, I come back the next day. Casey walks up, he's like, Otis, come here. I walked over, he's like, yo, everybody, Mike Otis. They mic'd me up. They bumped me from an extra to cast and did stunts. And I made more in that week than I did in the entire 3 months as an extra. And I'm still getting checks, residual checks from that movie till this day. And I remember we finished filming. Casey walked up to me. He said, here's my number. Keep in touch with me. He said, we never would have been able to do this film without you. Thank you for your dedication. Here I am, 9 films later. Casey and I have worked on Venom, Venom 2, Shazam 2. We worked on Independence Day Resurgence. That extra film changed the trajectory of my life. He's my big brother. He's my mentor. He's the one who helps me do everything that I need to do because here I am 13 years later, and I recently just signed with someone as an agent. I've been getting all these gigs through relationships and the grace of God. Wow. And it's only because people know if I get on set, you're going to get 150% from me.
So let me ask you this question. What role has your family played in supporting you along this journey?
Oh, they played a big role. You know, you got to remember my kids are young. And so I had to make sure I had a partner that can support me when I leave, that the house stayed going and the kids kept getting to school. Right. You know, she really stepped in and played a major role in that. And now it's easy to be able to sit back and be like, all right, we can travel together. I was just in Puerto Rico filming The Plane, was it a year ago? I was in Puerto Rico for 7 weeks filming a movie with Gerard Butler, Michael Coulter, and Remy Adeleke. That I can only do that by having a support system. Right. My support system was awesome, and it remains awesome. And it gives me the ability, because as an actor, you can't be on set worrying about what's going on at home. It's going to be hard for you to be dialed in and zoned in. And I always tell my kids, zero in. I can't zero in. My word is focused. And I can't be focused if I'm worried. You cannot be distracted and focused at the same time.
That's right. That's true.
One of the two is going to win. I
Right.
refuse to be distracted. I have to stay focused. Not having an agent for so long and learning how to navigate this system and doing it from Columbus, Ohio. I'm a full-time SAG actor that lives in Columbus, Ohio. And the
Right.
only way I can do that is by waking up every day, manifesting, visualizing what I want and going after it and working with it and believing that God is going to open those doors no matter what.
So tell me about your kids. How many kids do you have, and what are their
Well, I have
personalities?
two. I have two biological. My daughter name is Promise. My son name is Rain, Raign.
Okay.
Then we have three through a blended family. Daughter by the name of Brianna, daughter by the name of Nevaeh, and a son by the name of Preston. So we have total of five altogether with three grandbabies with another one on the way. So it's a big family, and I want my goal has always been to show my kids what happens when you dream and work towards it. You know,
Right.
our dreams don't give up on us. We give up on our dreams. And I refuse to be that guy that shows my family that, okay, just because something got hard, I'm going to stop chasing it. I'm
Right.
going to chase this thing until I'm at the top of that mountain. The reason I can climb a mountain and it's almost effortless to me because I'm always looking right in front of me. If I focus on the top of the mountain, I'll see how far I am from the top and I'll get frustrated and I'll stop walking and I'll stop climbing. I refuse to stop climbing. That little boy in me who stuttered and people told would never be able to talk, he's still in there saying, keep walking, slow down,
Right.
breathe, right foot, left foot, keep moving.
So let me ask you this. So how did you get into stunts? Because, I was reading your bio, and so in addition to acting, you also do stunts. And so how did you kind of transition into that area?
Well, it started with Oz, the Great and Powerful. They needed someone to do I remember the stunt coordinator's name, Scott Rogers. He was like, all right, I want everyone to run up this hill. And we had to like bound up this mountain. And by the time he said go, and he looked up, he's like, wait a minute, how do you get up there? So I'm athletic. I've been an athlete all my life. The one thing that I've learned as an actor is be athletic. So I chose, in order to set myself apart, not having an agent, always wanting to be on set, I have to do something different. So I'm an actor that does his own stunts. And that's what I've always done. So if you look at the movies, especially the last 4 movies I've done, I did my own stunts. You see it on The Plane, I do my own stunts. You saw it on SWAT. That just my episode aired as Officer Holmes. I'm the one driving the car. I jump out. I'm shooting my own gun. I take tactical. I learned how to ride a horse. I'm learning all these different things because I want to be that guy that saved production money. You don't need to hire someone who looks like me because I know how to do it on my own. I know how to fall. I know how to run. I know how to shoot. I know how to fight. I know how to box. The Mike Tyson story, Mike on Hulu, I played Lennox Lewis. I'm the only boxer besides Trevante Rose that has a speaking part in that TV show. But I had to take boxing. I had to set myself apart.
Yeah.
So that's why labeling myself an actor that know how to do his own stunts, or an actor that does his own stunts, I believe that sets me apart. You see, Tom Cruise does his own stunts. Chris Hemsworth, I know he does a lot of his own stunts. That's what I want to be known for.
Yeah.
You know, my fighting scenes, I don't want them to have to find a 6'5" guy that looks like me to do this rough and tumble and falling. No, you can use me. I know how to do it. I know how to move my body. I've always been an athlete, and that's how I set myself apart as an actor, by being an athletic actor.
So what has been your favorite role that you've played, and why?
I would have to say it's okay. It's 2. One is because I played 2 characters, and I was in Venom as someone else. Then I was in Venom 2 as a homeless man, and I got to morph, and I actually did the part as Venom when I morphed into Venom in my part. I would have to say that, and then I'll have to say Lennox Lewis, playing Lennox Lewis and Mike. One, because when I got asked to do it, I didn't know what part I was going to get. They just asked me, would I fly down here and do a part? I was only supposed to be down there for a day. It was supposed to be a day, a boxing scene, I fly home. When I walked out the trailer and they saw how much Lennox and I favored, when they put the wig and the body type and, you know, that right there, because it was unexpected. I was just going because I wanted to work.
Yeah.
And I had no idea that it was going to turn to a 3-week thing and be such a great part and have such an impact and play such an icon. You know, Lennox Lewis is such a great person. I can't wait to one day be able to meet him and say how much of it is an honor to play him.
So to prepare for that role, to be Lennox Lewis, did you have to do a lot of studying of his boxing style? And, you know, how did you kind of get into that role?
What's crazy is that 5 years prior to me getting that, I was working out with Buster Douglas because there was some talk about a Buster Douglas movie coming up. So Buster was training me and I was learning how to box through Buster. Buster was teaching me how to box. I had, like I said, when I got the part, when I got called, a stunt coordinator called me. I had no idea it was Lennox Lewis. I didn't know it was Lennox until I was in my trailer and I put on the trunks and saw Lennox. I was like, man, Lennox Lewis. So I'm like going there and just box.
Right.
I naturally fight southpaw. So I had to learn how to fight like a right-hander because I'm right-handed, but I naturally fight southpaw. And then once I did that and they loved the boxing scene, they're like, okay, we want to throw another scene at you. They threw the press conference. And then I'm like, I'm not from Britain. I'm not from London. I don't know, you know, so I had to learn a little bit of an accent. And then I had to learn another accent, you know, just that's why it was so good. I didn't get time to study but it was all like, it just morphed into this beautiful story.
Wow. So let me ask you this, having made that journey from Westlake projects to now the silver screen, what message would you want to send back to kids that are growing up in those same type of conditions today?
That I would tell them what I always tell them. As you can see, that always touches me, man. You know, I would tell them is not how you start, you know, it's how you finish.
Right.
My start was rough. You know, my start was rough, but my start wasn't rough to break me. It was rough to build me. It was rough to teach me that, you know, where you're at is just temporary. You know, don't make permanent decisions based on temporary situations and pain, because it was a lot of pain, you know. Oni can contest to that. We had a lot of pain growing up, man. But I look at where I am now and I'll look in the mirror sometimes and I was just on set doing a commercial last week and they had me send pictures of myself as a kid. And there was this one picture in particular. It was me. I think I was 4 or 5 years old and it was looking dead at me while I was acting. And he was sitting there with a thumbs up smiling. And that's the only confirmation I needed that the young me is happy. So I would tell them, don't get caught up where you are now. Believe that you can accomplish whatever and work towards it, and it'll happen. And lastly, but not least, I put on the back of all my shirts that I create. I always tell kids, never allow your talent to take you where your character can't keep you. Because talent can get you in the room, but your character, not only would your character bust those doors open, it'll keep you in that room and it'll open a bigger door that you could never have imagined that you can walk through.
Wow. Otis, you have an amazing story, but I don't want to end the program without presenting you with my self-made Rising Star Award. We know that you've done a great job. You've come a long ways, and we know you got higher heights to get to, man. And I really appreciate you taking time out your schedule to join me on the program today. So thank you so much for doing that. And thank you for your inspirational story. And to my viewers, I want to thank you for watching this episode of Self-Made. I'm your host, Dee Brown, CEO. And remember, without you, there's no me.